Hello everyone, this is Neve from Tactica Imperialis and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. No, do not adjust that dial, you are still listening to 40k Theories. Unfortunately, Remlays has been waylaid by technical difficulties this morning. Scrap Code has completely done his laptop in and he is unable to join us on the recording. However, in his stead, he did send his trusty lieutenant to accompany me on today's episode. So, ladies, gentlemen, Xenos of all ages, please give a warm Podcastus re-welcome to Nerina.
Hello, everyone, and thank you. I think I've never been called lieutenant, but I'm proud of myself now.
Well, I mean, yeah, acolyte, I suppose, is the term Remlays would
use. Interrogator.
Oh, yes, interrogator. But, yes, either way, it's probably... They all mean similar things, I suppose, depends on who you ask in the Imperial hierarchy.
True.
Regardless... So, yes, unfortunately, that means that anyone who was tuning in for the next part of The End and the Death Part 3, which includes me, are going to have to wait another couple of weeks, unfortunately. It sucks, but there's nothing we can do about it. To put a long story short, Remlays' laptop screen died, and he has no idea why.
Yeah, and, from what I've heard, he's going to try and get it fixed next week, but, this is, recorded on Friday, and during the weekends, some shops are either not open or they're, so crowded that you can't get any proper service from there, so it's going to be next week, so, yeah... at least I'm going to get enjoy listening to it in another podcast. It's a shame I cannot live react to that because whenever I do any kind of quality control of the Adeptus Podcasters, I'm here like, oh my god, the book continues. What is going to happen? Are the clock stopped? What about the geometry?
Yes, I know. I sympathise because, to be honest, I've lived through the Horus Heresy completely vicariously through listening to Remlays read it. Because I have not got the time nor the investment to be buying the Heresy and Siege books. No, thank you. But we move.
Yeah.
So, we do still have a show to run and plenty to discuss. And... actually, I'm going to start in a slightly different place with a PSA. There is a reveal weekend on the way. By the time you are listening to this, it will be this weekend, as it is Warhammer World's store anniversary. Obviously, Warhammer World itself, the store, is going through its anniversary celebrations, and as part of that, they will be holding a live reveal stream across the weekend of the 2nd of March. It doesn't say exactly what they'll be revealing. It doesn't even say there'll be a reveal stream, but keep an eye out on that weekend because there's plenty going on. I do wish I could go, but most likely I won't. They do actually tease a miniature that will be revealed as part of the proceedings, which I don't know if you have actually seen.
I'm not sure if I have. Oh God, that is perfect. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
I don't know if this is Age of Sigmar or if it's Blood Bowl. I don't know, but it's definitely a duck.
Plot twist, it's 40k.
Maybe. So, yes, do keep an eye out. We'll talk about all of the stuff that gets revealed next weekend. The other PSA is a much more painful one.
More painful than a goose.
They screwed over the old world, people.
No! How?
They took Kislev out of the miniatures game.
Why?
They don't say. But do you remember when they revealed that they were working on the fantasy reboot and redoing Old World?
Yeah,
One of the first things they did, and they did a bunch of articles, was concept art and mould ideas and heraldry for Kislev, implying that Kislev were going to play a central role in the narrative.
Yeah.
Now, that narrative changed, and, that's absolutely fine. But it seems as though they've not just stopped of taking Kislev out the narrative, they're not even going to put Kislev in the game because of reasons unclear. And actually, Cathay, who obviously got a bunch of stuff in Warhammer 3, because they talk about it in a Warhammer 3 article, Total War Warhammer 3 that should be, they're also confirming that they will not be receiving anything in Old World for the foreseeable future either.
I have a hunch of what the reason might be, but it might get political, so I'm not going to say it.
There's a non-zero probability of that maybe, but they're still reinforcing them in Total War Warhammer 3, but they are not bringing them to the tabletop. Whatever reasons are there is not given. We shall see. Yeah. But it sucks, because I know that there were a number of people who were very excited about seeing Kislev redone in miniature.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think for the total Warhammer players, it removes the option of them having a chance to, see their favourite pet armies represented.
Yeah, and honestly, I remember seeing, because one friend of mine had this kind of Kislev miniatures. I was like, hey, these look cool. And he told me some story about them, like what the actual characters there had gone through, etc., etc. And I was like, yeah, that's neat. So I'm kind of grieving for that younger girl who was very intrigued by the stories of these miniatures. Like, no, you don't get to see this. Annoying.
Indeed. So yes, that sucks, because I think as much as I probably won't be able to play Old World just due to time and resources and no interest in going back to playing High Elves or my Dark Elves or a Legacy faction or this, it's like, anything that doesn't happen is a net loss. No one wins by Kislev and Cathay not joining Old World. Yeah. No one wins.
Absolutely. Totally agreed.
But if you want to win in a different way, in a video gaming sense, then please do go and have a look at Steam, etc. Well, Steam and other consoles, etc. Because, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Power Wash Simulator has a Warhammer 40,000 DLC.
Yeah, I want it so bad! It looks amazing!
Just, why, though?
Because
why, though?
Have you ever played a Power Wash game?
I'm aware of them. I've seen videos and clips, but I've never played them, no.
It is so cathartic. You just wash things and everything just becomes clean. Okay, it may take some time, but you just see the result of your work immediately. We both are teachers. We don't see that immediately, so it's very, very cathartic to me. And I love the idea that I can be there, not just washing something like houses or yards or something like that, but actually combining two hobbies of mine. Like, yay, I'm washing a tank and I'm making it more imperial. Yay!
God. So yes, that's a thing. It will be out by the time that this video comes out. And to be fair, they've not just half-assed it. They've properly made the effort. I watched the trailer out of sheer morbid curiosity. And they have made the effort with all the architecture and the backgrounds and the things you get to do. So, you know what? If it interests you or you just want something funny, then give it a go.
Oh, I shall. I so shall. And yeah, I've got to say, absolutely, wholeheartedly agree with you. The backgrounds, the models, every frigging darling little detail is there. And I think, I don't remember what in the trailer, what they were washing, but there was this one, whatever thing it was, that had a chaos kind of graffiti on it. And it was washed away. And I was like, yes, thank you. This is how we make things imperial again.
God. Yeah, I take your point.
Yeah, the attention to detail. Loving it.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I also get a bit of time to talk about Kroot again, because they've been doing Crew every single Monday for the past few weeks, and that means I've got more Kroot to talk about. And actually, I'm going to be a lot nicer this week than I was to the Fleshhounds last week.
Well, go for it. I'm intrigued.
So, the first of them is the third Kroot hero that they have revealed, which is the Trail Shaper. So in the army box, they did the War Shaper, which is basically the old Shapers, and the Flesh Shaper, who are all about like the butchery and the meat and the evolution and yada yada yada. This time they revealed the Trail Shaper, who is all about hunting and stalking the prey and things like that, which allows them to, once per turn, make a free move when the enemy comes close by, allowing you to fall back out of ambush, or if a unit falls back away from you, then you can chase them down on your turn, preventing them from getting away. It also works for objective grabbing, it works for path blocking. It's a really interesting thing to give Kroot, who are already very maneuverable.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of gives me that, well, you know, the Predator movie kind of gives me that vibe, and I really like it.
Yeah, and they can also just put themselves into reserve or redeploy themselves after you've determined who goes first.
Okay, cool.
So this is going to be a bit of an odd one. So you know how Genestealer cults have the ambush rule where like half their army can go in reserve?
Mm-hmm.
Well, this allows you to do something similar with Kroot. You can take his unit and another Kroot unit and redeploy them anywhere you like on the board, well, within the rules of deployment, or put them in reserve, even if you've already hit the cap of number of units in reserve, thus allowing you to basically put half your army in reserve if you would like.
Okay.
Which is quite cool.
It is.
And also, it lets you play like you're the Deceiver, as in the Catan the Deceiver, because back in ye olden days, the Deceiver used to allow Necron players to redeploy after deployment. So you'd put your army down, your opponent would put their army down, and then you'd just change it to suit your needs and then go first.
Nice. I hope people just go like, you have been deceived, and then just move their miniatures around.
There was up to a point you could do that. I think Chaos could do it as well at one point. There was a Warlord trait that let you do it. But this basically allows Kroot to rapid redeploy. So let's say you're setting up to go first and then you lose the die roll. Then, actually, wait, I'm now going second. Hey, I should probably move or go into reserve or go into cover. Or alternatively, oh hey, I'm being allowed to go first. Actually, now I'm going to deploy hyper aggressively and use my Scouts move, which lets you move for free at the start of the game forward to basically bum rush you down.
Ooh.
And if you really enjoy bum rushing people down, then we finally got to see that cavalry hero that they teased at New Year's. This is the Lone Spear, which I'm just sending to you now.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of this one.
Yeah, these are weird because they're riding on a lizard. And that's not something Kroot normally do. It's normally all about symbiosis between the different Kroot species, Kroot hounds, Kroot hawks, etc. This is the first time we've seen Kroot, I think, tame a thing outside their own species and use as a mount.
Okay, neat.
Mind you, it does look a lot like a Kroot hound with the really stubby tail and the long face. But, you know, them's the breaks.
And perhaps it's a work in process.
Aye. But that said, they've got some really interesting options. One, they can be snipers. You can give them long rifles, which hit on 2s if you don't move, and a damage 3 with precision, allowing you to snipe heroes out of units, which is funny.
Nice.
Alternatively, you could take javelins, which have explosive tips. Essentially, like Rough Riders have their grenade lances in Imperial Guard. Same idea. You can chuck javelins that also happen to be crack grenades or something like that.
Cool.
And they also get the ability to basically act as your primer. So Marker Lights is not something Kroots can do, because Marker Lights is only for Tau Empire units, except the auxiliaries, Kroot and Vespid, etc. So Kroot don't hit very well. But if you use the Lone Spear to snipe something, then your entire army gets rerolls to hit against the unit you targeted for the rest of the turn. Melee and shooting.
Woo!
So, say for example, you've got a mission critical unit sat on an objective, and you need it to die. You use your lone spear with their sniper rifle, pick off the hero that's leading it, or significantly damage them to the point where they're going to die in one hit, and then unload your Crutox cannons into it with rerolls to hit, and then charge it with your Kroot Hounds or Kroot Carnivores led by Shapers, and the presence of Shapers gives them massive amounts of buffs depending on which Shaper you're taking, and then cut them apart, eat them, and gain passive benefits such as Feel No Pain, which is what Kroot currently do when they kill a unit in melee, and you can synergize that all around your Lone Spears. And you can do that for every Lone Spear you have, allowing you to really precisely pin down and knock out critical units if you want. I'm being very hyperbolic here because I don't know how it's all going to fit together. But sounds like a really fun place to take Tau, but still fitting the theme of working together, we get the job done. I've just accidentally quoted Bob the Builder. But
usually with the Tau, we, quote Hot Fuzz, but yeah, works.
Yeah. But yeah, it all fits together, and I'm very curious to see how this army plays. So yes, very excited, and I'm glad we got to see that cavalry hero come in at last. It wasn't quite what I expected, but it's still cool.
Do you think that you'll be seeing this at some point in your Warhammer club?
I fully intend to be the one bringing it there.
Good, excellent.
It's one of them of, if I've got the time and I've got the funds, the perks with Kroot is they're extremely fast to paint because they're almost entirely naked with a little bit of armour and one gun. There's no funky details. You can literally spray them one colour, paint the armour plates, paint the hairs, paint the gun, and you're done.
Yeah, true.
If you want to. So it genuinely takes, if you've got a spray gun, a couple of hours to paint a squad of Kroot. And even if you don't have a spray gun, I painted a squad of 10 in 2 to 3 hours.
Nice.
From nothing. And Kroot Hounds, I painted them in the space of half an hour. It's only the bigger stuff like the Crutox and the Lone Spears that will take any time at all. And even the Lone Spears aren't going to be that bad. So, yeah, very good.
Please tell me how it goes when you get to that point.
Well, they aren't out yet, and we don't know when they're going to come out.
But as I said, when you get to that point.
Indeed, but I definitely intend to. But I've also purchased another 20 Kroot Carnivores for myself. So I've now got 34 Kroot plus 2 Shapers and Hounds ready to go, meaning that I don't actually need to buy the army box. I just need to get my hands on the Codex.
Nice.
Because I can just proxy the Shapers into whichever Shaper I want, and then I'm only actually missing Crutox and the Lone Spears. Admittedly, those Crutox Ravagers look really cool. And I probably do need to... Well, I don't know if I'll pick up the army box, because that's 20 more Carnivores I don't need. I don't need 50 Kroot.
Yeah,
but
understandable.
The Crutox and the Crutox Rampagers are really interesting heavy gun and heavy melee units. So... And it's also the first place to get the Codex. So I don't know what I'll do, but I'm very much interested in seeing how the Kroot play. Because, it's just a different way to play the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'm a Tau player who uses, and I'm going to sound like a heretic, I use the blooming floating shield line thing in my Tau army. And literally, I was having a chat with someone at Warhammer Club tonight, and I know they're listening because they took the piss out of me after the Warhammer crime incident.
Aww.
And they were like, Miss, why do you run the Tide Wall? It sucks. Have you ever considered that it's bad? And I'm just like, excuse me, have I lost when I've used it?
Indeed, like, if I'm bad, what are you? Also, hi everyone who's listening.
Oh, I'm going to get it in the neck on the podcast.
Yeah, you are.
Club next week, but I don't care. It's fine. But yeah, it is fun, and I am really looking forward to it, and I've really found my passion again for actually playing Tau. Now that I've got them clicking, and I've got Farsight working, and all the things I actually like to do with them. Give me the Kroot attachment, give me a Monk card attachment, and I am a happy little girl who will go on and play this game for years.
Oh, I think that's very, very good that you have found your enthusiasm, with the Tau again. Because from time to time, honestly, when it comes to any hobby, sometimes it just kind of waxes and wanes. But sometimes you're just like, yeah, I guess I have to do this now. But when you get a kick out of it, it's so much better.
Yep, absolutely. And that's why I've done the club. It's why I still do the podcast, even though I don't make my own videos. It's just because it keeps you interested and it stops you falling out of love with it when you are just sort of slugging. And when it's fun, it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah, more of that, please.
Absolutely.
Where am I going? Now, there is one more miniature that I think we all need to talk about this week. And it's actually the first Black Shield miniature. So these are from Horus Heresy, the guys who sort of disowned the Shattered Legions, that kind of thing. And we got a model for Endrid Har, who is a World Eater loyalist.
Oh, getting even more angry because of Angron.
Now, here's the interesting thing. You see, he actually missed the reunion with Angron. He went missing during the Great Crusade. So he doesn't have the Butcher's Nails or anything like that. He is a World Eater, so he's already a vicious bastard. But he doesn't have any of the stuff like the Butcher's Nails in his head, as you can clearly see from his model.
Yeah, hair. Wow.
But yeah, indeed. And so he comes back, and now the World Eaters are traitors. He's not. And so he's come back, sworn vengeance, got together a Black Shield warband, and gone for the simple thing of punch everything in the face.
One has to respect that, actually.
A terawatt pattern power fist that can charge up disruption nodes for extra punch.
Yeah, I was wondering why the other hand was so big.
It's a power fist, but it's not just any power fist. It's a supercharged power fist.
It is like the angriest of power fists.
Indeed. And actually, it's quite cool because he's also allowed to be sneaky, because what the Fangs of the Emperor used to do, his warband, would basically disguise themselves as traitors in order to sneak up and walk up to enemy lines unnoticed and then, surprise, motherfucker.
So basically giving Alfaris a run for his money.
Not quite, but he's able to have like scout moves and things like that, which most Space Marines don't.
Cool.
And it's also interesting, if you have a look at his gun, does that remind you of anything design-wise?
Goodness gracious, yes it does, but what does it remind me of? Goodness, tell me. I'm feeling like an idiot now.
Someone pointed this out. This is not credit me, this is credit someone on Twitter. That looks like a Votan gun.
Oh god, yes it does.
Which, given its archaeotech, suggests that clearly at some point the squats, kin, whatever we're calling them, and the Imperium had that closer working relationship, because here's the Imperium using tech that the Votans still use today.
Cool.
And it's also worth noting, the Tau have similar looking weapons too, which sort of implies that potentially some of Tau's tech came from the Votan works as well. That's an old theory, I don't know how true it is.
It could very well be. I mean, a lot of time has passed, so we never know what has happened.
Yes, it's a really cool miniature, and everyone who's seen it is like, yes.
Yeah.
And you can see just how damaged his power armor is as well. Like, this is not just a Space Marine who's got the chance to tidy up. He's a loyalist in hiding, constantly running around punching everybody in the face, and you can tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And just look at that face sculpt, and okay, the paintwork as well. He legitimately looks A, angry, B, motivated, C, like he's about to kick ass, D, like someone has kicked his ass.
Battered beyond belief, but still screaming.
Yeah.
Like, if there were ever a miniature that you'd use as a baseline to represent the Doomslayer, I feel like you'd give him that head.
Oh, absolutely.
If you ever wanted to convert the Doomslayer, do that. Because that's really is a good place to start.
Oh, yeah. And if you guys do, send us pictures.
Yes, absolutely. Right. News-wise, it's been a honestly really quiet cycle, because mostly it's been going on about, oh hey, look at the Dark Angels getting their new codex, look at all these things about the Dark Angels, and I'm just like, I don't care about the Dark Angels. Like, I don't really care about the fact they've got a million novels, most of which are very mid, and they've got different narrative army lists and picture armies, and oh good, they've got a combat patrol. It's exactly the same, except it's got more plasma weapons in it, and it's just like, okay. Actually, no, I did miss one thing. The Solar Auxilia, the Basilisk and the Medusa have been redone for Heresy. So I'm sure you know what the Basilisk is.
They're tanks, aren't they?
Yeah, that's the artillery. So you know all the memes about, like, artillery guns in the guard. So the best one that comes to mind is, I think there's a quote of, Sergeant, do you see that enemy in the distance? Yes, Commander. I don't want to anymore. Yes, Commander. Boom.
Like, I really don't think that fits the view. Sir, yes, sir.
Yes, or if you're a Thunder Psyker aficionado, in the Soulstorm video, when he's talking about the Sisters of Battle, so the Imperial Guard still have the Sisters beat on artillery. If they're trying to bring their organ guns, just bust out the 1812, and it's to the thunder of basilisk fire.
We need to have, honestly, a book in which some sort of commander with any kind of tank is just called Tchaikovsky. But yeah, you were saying.
It's been done.
I hope so. I really hope so.
I have to say, they have really redesigned the Basilisk from its current look, because the modern Basilisk, as you're probably aware, has a huge amount of shielding and other protective stuff that covers the front of the gun. It's got a massive amount of shielding to protect the crew while they're firing the tank. And the tank is also open-topped at this time with its Earthshaker cannon, whereas the Solar Auxilia one has no such shielding protections, but is closed, thus the crew are protected in a different way.
Yeah. And
So
honestly, it's just, if I were to just look at these two, like, models next to each other, and someone said to me, yeah, they're both Basilisk, I'd be like, what? Say again? Because that is quite a big of a change.
Absolutely. It is very different to how it looks 10,000 years later. Mind you, we don't really get to see the back of it, but it does say there's a lot of interior details that can be customized, like crew on the inside. So maybe it is still open at the back. It's just we don't see the guardsman stood there like you do on the modern Basilisk.
I might, like, ruin this for some people, but that just reminds me of a Polly Pocket. But I mean, I would love this over any Polly Pocket. Anytime.
Yeah, that's fair. So yes, now we've covered the miniatures. There is one other thing, and which was a new book. So, Dawn of Fire. This has been my reading assignment whilst Rem's been reading The Siege of Terror. And it's nearly over because there's 9 in the series and we're on to book 8 now. And that 8th book is The Hand of Abaddon. So very recently I reviewed Sea of Souls, which is the 7th novel, and it went 10 shades of nowhere right up until the end and hit me with the best plot twist I've ever seen. Now it's all starting to come together. Because in the background of the Indomitus Crusade, the forces of chaos have been working towards one particular goal, as far as we can tell. Gathering Athame, which, for those who are not aware, is basically the thing that's the super uber death sword that can even kill a Primarch. It's the thing that nearly killed Horus back on... Oh, I should know the name of the planet where Horus almost died and the warrior lodges were. Oh my god, I should know the name of that planet.
That's all right. Because I'm blacking out too. Like,
What is the name of that blummin'? I should absolutely know the name of that planet because that is such an important planet.
And I do believe Remles has the right to roast both of us for this.
Yeah, Remles will literally be screaming at me right now of how the hell do you not remember this? Davin!
Yes. Absolutely. Davin, yes.
So yes, Eugen Temba was given an anatheme, the Kinnebrach anatheme, and the anatheme is essentially a super uber powerful sword with Nurgle's power imbued into it, pretty much created by the Interex's neighbours. And this thing can kill anything. Like, it was broken up into 8 Athame daggers. So Corferin had one, which is why he wasn't massacred at the Battle of Calth, for example. But we know that they've been gathering these shards. So in Book 2, Bucaris's gift was originally the cannon, but the cannon is powered by an Athame. Not an anathame, that's the big sword. An Athame dagger. Ooh. And they take that and they give it to Abaddon, and Abaddon says, gather the others. That was the sting at the end of Book 2.
Oh, yeah.
And now at the end of Book 7, pretty much they've got them all. Pretty much. I think they're one short. If I just remind myself of the end of Sea of Souls, if you give me just a moment, I'm going to read the last page of Sea of Souls again, just to remind myself. Have they got the last one, or are they one short? Sea of Souls. It says...
I'm all excited.
It doesn't... Oh, does it actually say? No, it doesn't say exactly how many. Yours is the last. Yes, that is the last.
Oh dear.
So it sounds like either they know where they all are, or they have them all. And if you put the anatheme back together, Guilliman's fucked.
At the
if
very
anyone
least.
Can get that, like, if they can get that blade into Guilliman, like, a single Athame dagger could have easily fucked him up during the Battle of Calth. If they can get the anatheme on him, he's done. And so's the Emperor.
Yeah.
So, yeah, problem. And this book, Hand of Abaddon, seems to run two things in parallel. You've got Inquisitor Rostov, who's been running throughout the series, is hunting down the Hand and what's going on, trying to pull that all together. And we've also got the Anaxian line with Ferrin Areos from the first book, and that all ties in somewhere with a dread vision, apparently. And you've got the sort of living saint Magdakesh of the Mordians, who is the sole survivor of Book 5 and the mass murder of the Iron Kingdom that pissed everybody off.
Understandably.
Meanwhile, the Chaos Forces, Therador Yang, Master Tenebris, and others are all trying to get their hands on and put together the Athame alongside the Hand of Abaddon. Also, the Votan are in this book, because there's a Votan on the front cover. That'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Because we might get a chance to actually explore the Imperium-Votan relationship a little bit, which will be lovely. So I'm actually excited to read it for reasons other than this is an interesting concept, but for plot reasons, I actually want to read it, which is something I haven't always said about Dawn of Fire.
Yeah, I remember listening to some episodes and you having a lot of words about not being very inspired to read the series.
The first one was well written but badly structured. The second one was good. The third one was a good book but pointless in the context of the Dawn of Fire series, pretty much. The fourth book was pointless. I can't even remember what it does. Hold on. What was it called?
Throne of Light?
Oh yeah, that one was good. Sorry, tell a lie. That one was good. So yeah, that one was good. The fifth one was controversial. I enjoyed the book, but it pissed everybody off because everyone from book 2 just died.
Oh yeah,
off screen.
I remember you talking about this as well.
Book 6 was pointless, or very much felt pointless. Like, it was like, oh, here's a way to get Katya Helvinter into the plot thread. Why? Q, that's why. And it just, in terms of the overarching, what's the Imperium doing? What are the Hand of Abaddon doing? One of the Hand of Abaddon dies, but it just didn't feel like it was all linked together, and why he was there didn't seem anything to do with the Hand of Abaddon. It was just like, yeah, that happened. It was well written, again, good book, but when you've got a 9-book series to tell a very spanning galaxy-wide plot line, we haven't got the space. If this were the Horus Heresy with 50 books, you get away with it. Not in a 9-book series.
True.
And book 7 felt like it was just one of those, and then the sting at the end was fantastic. It was a fantastic sting at the end, and it was, again, very well written, but it didn't feel relevant right up until the sting.
Oh, yeah.
I think the challenge with Dawn of Fire is it's trying to be competing in the market with the Siege of Terror. And the Siege of Terror is telling a story of a war that took place over a matter of weeks. Maybe a matter of months. And it's got 9-10 books to do it. And so it can cover all these stories in depth and let every plot line breathe a bit. I'm sure Remley's will disagree with me up to a point. But Dawn of Fire is trying to do, hey, this is the galaxy's plot thread. We've got a guard plot thread. We've got this lot, that lot, this lot, that lot. Also, there's a massive chaos thing going on. And by the way, did you remember this is a thing? And it just doesn't have the room to breathe.
Yeah.
And actually explore these plot threads. And if it does, then it feels like you've actually wasted half the book because you haven't got on with the plot.
You kind of need one of those walls with all the pictures and notes and with the red, string going from one place to another. Oh, which reminds me, when it comes to expectations of this book, and you said that the Iron Kingdom, was it controversial?
Primarily because it killed everybody.
All
the
right.
book was very good, but everyone's favourites from Gate of Bones, which at the time was probably regarded as the best one, got murdered at once. And it pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, because Hand of Abaddon is by the same author. That's why I'm like, this is going to be interesting.
That's because Guy Haley's the lead writer and Nick Kimes the second. Mm-hmm. So those two have had oversight of basically everything. And thus they can tie all those threads together. So Magda Kesh and her plotline is continuing from the Iron Kingdom. So it makes sense for Nick Kimes to pick that up.
Oh, yeah,
In
absolutely.
addition, as Guy Haley set the standard with Avenging Sun and Nick Kimes II, it makes sense they understand each other's characters very well, which is why you've got Rostov and Arayos running around.
Yeah.
Because they're from Guy Haley's books and central to the core plot established by Guy Haley.
Yeah.
Whereas the Wolf Time, Gav Thorpe got to do a really good Space Wars novel, and Mark Collins got to do a really good Sisters of Battle novel, and Chris Raitt got to do a great Imperial Navy novel, and Andy Clark got to do a great Dawn of Fire novel.
Yeah.
If that makes any it's like they're all really good standalone novels that are very loosely tied in to the core thread, which is what's being written primarily by Guy Haley and Nick Kimes, with the others providing tie-ins and support and new characters and new plot threads here and there. Primarily, Andy Clark's work in Gate of Bones has been referenced a lot, but then Nick Kimes picked up that plot thread, and Chris Raitt tied his part in quite tightly, and Gav Thorpe used characters from Gate of Bones in The Wolf Time.
Yeah.
So it's been really tightly written. You can tell that it's had quite a tight hand on keeping the characters together, keeping the plot threads together. I just wonder whether, did we need a story about how the Space Wolves get Primaris? Not in this series. That could have been a standalone novel in and of itself that referenced novel characters from Dawn of Fire. That book could have been given to something else to, for example, clear up what's going on and maybe set up why this thing's going on in Sea of Souls, or why it's going on in the Martyr's Tomb, or just give an extra novel to let the series breathe. I don't know. I think it's trying to be the Horus Heresy, but it hasn't got the book capacity to be the Horus Heresy.
It kind of tries to be it in a miniature size, but then again, you can do so much more in a 50-book series, or however much they are going to be, than in a 9-book series.
Yeah, and The Siege is 9 books, I think. Yeah, because it's 8 books and then a couple of novellas and then The End of the Deaths in 3 bits. I think it's 10 when you 9 when you break it down, maybe 10. But the difference with The Siege of Terror is it's got 50 books of preamble called The Horus Heresy to set it up. Meaning that, yes, you've got a lot of plot threads, but most of the time is being spent tying those plot threads up. Not establishing them, running them, and then tying them up.
Yeah.
So it's this. I think it's trying to take a leaf out of the book of the success of the Heresy and the Siege, but it's trying to do it in 9 books, and that's really hard. The books have been very good, and I don't want to sound like I'm banging on and bashing Dawn of Fire as a series. To read, they have been very good. But when you take a step back and look at the wider narrative, some of the novels feel a little bit like filler.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm trying to say, and I'm not trying to piss off Gav or Mark or Chris or whoever, because they've written fantastic books. But in the context of this series, which is so short and so central, their books would have been better just being standalone releases that tied into Dawn of Fire, rather than being the main plot, because they don't fit as neatly as they should.
Understandable so. And I think, like, from a point of view of a person, well, I write for fun, yes, but I draw, create something. And yeah, I think it's good for them. Like, we don't know if they are going to listen to this podcast. If you are listening to this podcast, you author people, wow, hi, hello, huge fan. But I think it's very good for them to hear too that, both the positives and the negatives, but especially the fact that all of these have been very delightful reading experiences.
They have been good to read. I think it's just trying to do too much with the narrative, because it's such a hard narrative to do. Like, can we also point out, Yvraine has not shown up, the Ynnari have not shown up once. And bear in mind, the Ynnari series got cancelled. So the role of the Ynnari in the Indomitus Crusade should be just about 0, but we also know that Yvraine and Guilliman have been in contact because Crone Swords and shit.
Yeah.
So, like, it would have been interesting, like, are the Ynnari running around trying to influence things in the background and fucking things up again, just like the Eldari always do? Shrug. Don't know. Yeah. But that would be an interesting thing that they could have looked at instead. Or could we be looking instead at, the Indomitus Crusade and its drive to... We've talked about the Eye with Sea of Souls, but they never got there. What about the drive across the Cicatrix Maledictum and the arrival in Imperium Noctis? Because that leads very nicely into the Devastation of Baal and would tie into the Dante series of Guy Haley's. And maybe that's what Book 9 is going to do. It's going to be the Battle of... Oh, Christ, that's such an important planet. I've forgotten it as well. The planet that they take, which becomes the launching point for the Indomitus Crusade to cross the Cicatrix Maledict... no, not Indomitus box set.
There are too many planets in this frigging game. Oh,
yeah,
lore.
Absolutely. Oh, God. Right, there it is. What planet was it called? It's got a Space Wolf successor chapter set on it.
Yeah? Doom Crusade.
Oh, was it Rorkos?
Your guess is, I think, better than mine.
Rorkos is considered to be the end of the Crusade and the beginning of the Dark Imperium series. But that's not the planet. Oh, no, it was. The Pit of Rorkos. That's the... No. Oh, bother.
I bet, like, after we've done recording and it's like 3 a.m., we both wake up. Okay, 3 a.m. will be a different time for each one of us, but still we'll wake up and like, oh, it's this one.
Probably.
And then we'll feel even more silly.
Yeah. Is it on the map?
Yeah, and for the listeners, we're both here Googling, like, why don't we remember it? Why don't we remember it?
I'm literally on Lexicanum right now trying to dig my way through all the information I can find to try and remind myself what the hell is going on, because it's bothering the bejesus out of me what the name of this goddamn planet is.
And I can imagine the comments going like, this is the planet, come on! It's not that difficult.
No, that's nothing. Oh, hang on. I can do this another way. If I Google up Space Wolf Successor Chapters.
Yeah, go for it.
So I go Space Wolf Successors, because there's only like 4 of them. And the name of the planet that they were given, Space Wolves, recent history, Successor Chapters. Successor Chapters.
Go,
The Wolf Spear. That's it. The Wolf Spear chapter. Oh, it was the Pit of Rorkos. For fuck's sake. It was the Pit of Rorkos.
Yep. So don't doubt yourself. You know more than I do. Because honestly, for instance, today when I was reading the news about our happily angry friend from the 12, Primarch, I was like, 12, which one was it? And in my head, I was going through them like, I need to Google this. And I felt so ashamed.
Yeah, I can understand why.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, never heard of this Angron guy. Who's that?
Yeah, the amount of times I remember trying to list off Primarchs and always forgetting it was usually someone like Jagatai Khan or Korax that I'd forget.
Yeah, and you're there like, who am I forgetting? Who am I forgetting? And then just everyone around you who's listening are like, seriously? You don't remember? And I'm like, wait a minute. I don't know, there's this and this and this and that. I think I should come up with this song, for the Primarchs and etc., so I could remember them better. Like there is a song about the English kings, and that is why I remember, what kind of kings you guys have had.
Yep. Oh, it's because I'm getting mixed up with the corridor through the warp, which is the bloody Narkmund Gauntlet.
Oh yeah.
And that's what was bothering me, because I couldn't remember what that was called, but I thought that was also what the planet was called, and it wasn't. And
yeah, that's what honestly happens when you have a universe with a lot of lore. You're never going to remember it all, especially the important parts.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's 2. And so I'm quite annoyed at myself that I managed to forget 2.
Hey, now you'll remember that. And when you have your rematch with Oculus, when it comes to, all kinds of podcasters, quizcasters, you'll remember those.
Yeah, Ramlays, don't put that question in there, because otherwise you will just make me look bad.
Yeah, put in all the Tau questions.
Shush.
Hey, I was there, and I didn't know the answers either.
No, but that's my specialist subject, and I lost on my goddamn specialist subject to Oculus, and I've said it, I want my goddamn belt back. So, yes, 200, I am having my belt back. It's happening. And if it ain't happening, then I may as well just quit this goddamn show.
You'll have to heal it up, dearie. Heal it up.
Oh no, I'm not even going full heel on this. Like, I am not the cocky champion anymore. I want my goddamn belt back, and I'm going to fight for it. Like, underdog babyface shit.
Oh yeah, well, that's what happens in wrestling too. Sometimes you just kind of flip a switch and then you become something completely else.
Yeah, apparently I'm just MJF.
Oh god.
Apparently I'm just MJF.
Oh god.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
We're not having fun or anything.
No, of course not.
Indeed.
Oh, pardon me.
That's all right.
this is normally the segment where I would hand over to Remlays, but I can't do that because he ain't here. But I do actually have a book discussion that we can be having because I need to retroactively retract a statement that I made a few weeks ago.
Ooh, do tell.
So, you may recall a few weeks ago, I made a comment on the Indrasta novel.
Mm-hmm.
And I said that I was bored and I'd put it down after chapter 3 and hadn't picked it up for weeks.
Okay.
I then got bored over half term and picked it up again.
Mm-hmm.
I finished it within a day.
Yes, fair. Either you were like very, 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 very extremely bored, or something really good happened in that book. I bet it was the latter one.
It was interesting because the book promised to be an insight into Indrasta, and up until the point where I put the book down, she was in the prologue and then hadn't shown up again. Surprise to fucking surprise, she showed up 10 pages later.
Always.
So,
it's always like that.
Yeah, so to recap, we follow a series of Gurish ice people. Like, they're humans who live in the icy regions of Gur, and they live near an area attacked by a kraken, a ginormous god beast style kraken, whose name is bloody really hard to pronounce. And they're very shamanistic and all these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been attacked by Crawl Boys, which is the swamp oryx, the Tolkienish ones. And they are basically trying to survive. Indrasta is hunting the kraken. That's all she cares about. Because she is Sigmar's hunter, she kills big shit. That's her thing.
Hello there, Moby Dick.
Indeed. Now, what gets interesting is that partway through, like about the end of chapter 4, the last few tribes people are basically done for, and Indrasta saves their bacon. And they have a name for her. They call her Fate Butcher, because they're sort of Sigmarites, sort of not. And she turns up, kicks ass, and leaves. Doesn't even say a word, pretty much, to them. Doesn't say a word. Doesn't ask for thanks. Nothing to do with, like, praise be to Sigmar, he has delivered you this day, etc., etc. No. In, murder, out. And they're all like, well, what do we do now? So they keep going, and they decide to head for the nearest major settlement. But there's, like, 6 of them in a sled caravan thingy trying to get to this place. Meanwhile, Indrasta's like, those people seemed interesting. They might be of use in helping me catch the kraken because they seem very in tune with nature around here. I'm going to go back. And so she finds them again and they talk, and she agrees to, she wants the main character, whose name for some reason has escaped me. There
are no names in any Warhammer universe at the moment.
Enjadar, that's it. So it's NJDA. I'm going to call it Enjadar, but I'm probably butchering it.
NJ what? Say again?
NJDA. An
intriguing name. It's going to be Enjadar for now.
Yeah, it's the best I've got. Sorry. And she takes an interest in her because she seems to be something of a seer, or it seems to be tied to the spirit of her mother in some way. Ooh. And it turns out that she is essentially communing with the spirit of her mother, which is enslaved by the kraken.
Oh.
Not just dead, like her body is dead, but her soul is a prisoner of the kraken. And Indrasta clocks, wait, okay, so you're going to take me to the kraken, or we're going to find it based on what you see. And it turns out that rather than looking in the ocean, as Indrasta had been doing repeatedly, it turned out this kraken was living in more of a marshy, cavey area somehow.
Okay.
And so they go over there. And
Indrasta
Indrasta fights the kraken in the cave. And she loses.
Oh.
I'm not going to sit here and say she gets her ass handed to her. Oh, I think the Kraken's called like Tiatsa Mai, I think. It's got a more anglicised name that some of the townsfolk use, but I think it's like Tiatsa Mai. I'm going to call it Mai because I know it's definitely Mai.
All right.
So Indrasta fights Mai, but rather than just whack it with Thengavar, go home, it seems tipped off to what's going on. And that's because one of the less Stormcast loving, not like Chaosified or anything like that, just, one of the more old school, in it for themselves, not really a Sigmarite tribespeople, partly accidentally, partly deliberately, may have accidentally tipped the Kraken off.
Whoops.
Oh, and also, what I was saying about enslaved souls? Yeah, actually, it's zombies.
Double whoops?
So the Kraken uses its power essentially to reanimate or create apparitions of the bodies of everyone it's ever murdered and has enslaved their souls, and they become zombies that attack our tribespeople.
Oh.
And
all right.
both Indrasta and Njadar are pissed.
Well, understandably so.
Because Njadar went with Indrasta on the promise that they would save her mother. One was save, Njadar meant free her soul. Indrasta meant murder.
Oh.
Because Indrasta, DGAF. Indrasta does not give a fuck.
Yeah.
Her entire thing is, I'm going to murder the big Kraken. Everything else is collateral. And any amount of collateral is acceptable. Which is why she's pissed off, because she hasn't got her kill because one of them was either an idiot or messed up or deliberately sabotaged her. And she's fuming and would quite happily kill them. Like, her voice is screaming thunder. Literally.
Yeah, understandably so.
But she leaves. And basically, Ninjadar just follows her as best she can. Because they make their way toward the settlement where they get to in the end, and they realise that they've got really lackadaisical, they don't really care about anything, and there's a massive Crawlboys army on the way.
That's awkward.
And the town's doomed. Just doomed.
Whoopsie.
Because either the Crawlboys or Indrasta, it's not clear which, Indrasta definitely would have done it, has murdered the town's sort of spirit guardian. Indrasta says she didn't do it because the Crawlboys did it, but it's kind of implied she did it.
Yeah, accidents happen.
Because to do so will draw out the Kraken. So she's quite happy to throw this town under the bus to get her kill.
Oh, Indrasta, no, that's not how you do human relations.
Oh, and it gets better. So she flies to the city and she addresses the crown as like, there will be no Stormcast coming because Sigmar's wars are too vast and he cannot send aid. But we will defend and we will fight as we always do, for this is the way of Gur, and they'll do all the things they're going to do. They've got all these different trackers and hunters and mercenaries and all this. And we will fight the Crawlboys off as best we can. And she's lying through her damn teeth.
Oh, goodness gracious. Everything for the Kraken, eh?
Because she's seen the Crawlboys army and goes, this city will fall in 4 days and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, well, then again, if you say that out loud, they won't be very motivated, will they?
No, but she openly says this to Njadar later. It's like, the city's doomed. There's nothing you can do. You're doomed. But have fun.
Okay.
I get my shot. I will fight for you, but when that Kraken comes, I am taking it. Which she does. She starts fighting like a woman possessed, massacring Crawlboys by the 100, because she's Indrasta. And then the Kraken shows up.
Like, okay, thanks, bye.
So she dips, and the humans are giving a very good account of themselves. Like, they're killing Gargants, they're killing Oryx by the Storm, they're using ambush tactics, they're fighting like Crawlboys would fight, and they're winning. But
nice.
Inevitability, numbers, etc., there is absolutely no way that city stands.
Yeah.
And basically, Indrasta just does her thing. She kills the Kraken, but she does it with help, which I don't think she was ever expecting. Because Njadar helps. How much she helps is not hugely clear, but she does go to help Indrasta and uses what are called Devourer Ice. Yeah, it's living ice that eats you.
Oh.
And she basically sacrifices herself to it to pray to Indrasta, shoot, and helps with the killing of Mai, or at least gives Indrasta the freedom to do it. And thus, Mai dies. Indrasta gets what she wants.
Yeah.
But there's nothing Njadar can do because she's trapped in Devourer Ice and she's drowning. She dies for Indrasta. Well, at least you'd think.
Ooh.
Because the next chapter, somehow, they go on and say that she survived. Quite how she did it isn't very clear. I think they either burnt the Devourer Ice off or whatever. And actually, they won to a point because the city fell, as Indrasta predicted.
Mm-hmm.
But they were able to bring in reinforcements, a bunch of free guilds and all of that, and get rid of the orcs afterwards. Like, the people survive, the city doesn't.
Ooh.
If you like.
Yeah.
And Indrasta's just gone.
Surprise, surprise.
Cut to Indrasta in the post-credits. The postlude, as Noah Van Gyan calls it.
Ah.
Who tells the story of a girl who helped Sigmar's huntress. At the battle, her corpse was found. Well, the Kraken's corpse was found. The huntress who'd slain her wasn't seen again, but the girl who helped was found half frozen to death on a Devourer iceberg. And somehow, with the help of a mythic wolf, apparently, shedding its own pelt, so goes the story, she survived. The actual details of how she survived are not made clear. She goes on to become basically the most respected seer, priestess, shaman in the region. And the book ends with her invoking a right to pray to Indrasta because there's a baby Kraken. One of a lesser Kraken that had grown stronger now that Tratsalmai's out the way, the Cruel Boys have been useful hunting fodder, etc.
Ooh.
Some say it's even worse than Mai. And Njadar prays to Indrasta, and Indrasta hears her.
Cool.
But here's the catch. Indrasta is also on the hopes of hunting down the shards of Doombreed. Yes, that Doombreed, the 40k Doombreed. Indrasta killed him earlier on in the book.
What?
Yeah,
Alright.
This is the thing that Remlays wanted me to read the novel for, because Indrasta fights Doombreed, like when she's still a human.
What?
And with a lot of help from Sigmar, she helps to kill it. Well, shatter it.
Cool.
Yeah, how Doombreed shows up in AOS is not made clear at all. He just is. He's like one of the most powerful demons of Khorne. He's an absolute uber badass, and somehow Indrasta, with a lot of help from Sigmar, kills him on her ascension.
I mean, neat.
Indeed, it's a major part of Indrasta's backstory as to how she came to be the woman she is, but Doombreed's presence and how Doombreed comes to be here is not mentioned.
Well, at least not yet.
So now, Indrasta has a choice. Is she going to go and help and answer Njadar? Or is she going to just go hunting Doombreed shards again? And the book ends on telling the Lord Celestant to prepare the chamber, wherever they are going. Doesn't say where they're going. So it's implied of, has Indrasta been converted to actually give a shit?
That would be lovely.
or not, because she is still the supposedly uncaring, unflinching, unstoppable Huntress of Sigmar, but we do not know if it is clear as to if she is still that, or if she is that, but also has a bit of a conscience and will actually go out of her way to help humans a bit. If it's convenient, or if she owes them a debt or whatever. And the details are not made clear, and I think that's by design. Well, it is by design, because we're left to guess, is Indrasta changed or not? Has she slightly altered her ways, or is she still just this soulless killing machine?
I think that's a very good way to end a book.
I definitely think the book got going. It took a bit to get going, and I stopped at the worst time because it was just taking ages. And then as soon as I picked it back up again, it found a foot, mixed together our protagonist with Indrasta, got the two stories running in parallel, and actually was quite a good book in the end. It just took a bit to get going and ended on a really nice note. I liked how it ended.
Yeah. A shame that Rem isn't here to comment on that, but honestly, that sounds very nice.
And to be honest, I liked the way that Indrasta's personification is done through her backstory, because I didn't know her backstory. It might be in the Stormcast book somewhere, but I haven't actually read it. Because Indrasta was sort of the daughter of a queen of a very powerful Gurish kingdom, like the last one to stand in the Age of Chaos. There was her, the vampires of what became Laukavai. So you know the big beast vampire, not the werewolf one, the Mother of Nightmares, Laukavai.
Yeah.
So her and her vampires were allied with Indrasta against Chaos.
I mean, I need art of this. That would look so cool.
But this is before Laukavai becomes a monster.
Damn.
And before Indrasta becomes a Stormcast.
Well, I think it would still look cool, but even more cool if we had a Stormcast and a monster.
Yeah, and it's all about, like, Doombreed is coming. The forces of Khorne have knocked everything over, and Doombreed is coming for us now. We've stopped everything else, but we are not stopping Doombreed, and they all know it. So Indrasta's mother, the Ailing Queen, says, "Don't fight, just go."
Yeah.
And Indrasta's like, no, I'm staying. We are staying, and we will fight. Get the people out, sure, but we are staying. Even if it only buys us a day, we are staying. And we will die. We will probably die, but we are staying.
Aww.
And she basically is, even before her ascension, she is a huntress through and through. Like, I'm not saying she doesn't have human emotions. She does. She's a human. But she is very much, you can see the shell that Sigmar hollowed out when he made Indrasta his ultimate huntress, because she already was a very skilled hunter and a very devoted warrior. That's all she really knew, even before she got hit by a bolt of lightning.
Yeah.
And then she goes up against Doombreed. I think she was riding a Pegasus, I think, and there were also dwarves with giant earthworms at some point. Complicated. Age of Chaos, bit of a mess. But she goes to attack Doombreed as she's dying, and she gets hit by the Sigmar bolt, and that basically cracks Doombreed, shatters him into pieces, and ascends Indrasta in one fell swoop.
Nice.
So yeah, good characterization of Indrasta. Interesting place to put the Stormcast, because that's what the Stormcast used to be, but not really what they are now. And just a decent novel that ended in a really nice way.
Yeah. That sounds wonderful, actually.
Indeed. Now, I have picked up, and I haven't started yet, I've been waiting until I'd done this episode. I'm going to start reading Flesh and Steel, which is another Warhammer crime novel. It's Noctis and Lux. It's one of Guy Haley's earlier Warhammer crime novels on Varangantua. And so I'm very interested to give that a read, because I enjoyed the last one of the crime series. And I'd be interested to see what happens next. Or not that's what happens next, because this is older than the King of the Spoil that I read. but just to get another take on Varangantua. So yeah, I'm going to read that next.
Ooh, that sounds lovely. I also have a book project that I just started today. I have read the first 4 pages of it because I kind of ran out of time and energy because, reading from the screen, because I'm a, slow reader, it really kind of, it doesn't really grind my gears, but it's not, perhaps the way I would prefer reading my books. Can I tell you about the first 4 pages?
Go for it.
Because I think this is a book that has been mentioned often here. It is called The Death of Antagonus. And...
oh, God.
Yes. And
oh, no.
I have just reached the part where the load-bearing walls had become heretical. And I laughed my ass off. And that is why I had to stop reading. Because I had such a giggle fit that when I tried to read again, I just had another giggle fit. And then I had a third giggle fit. So I am determined to read this to the very end, but I'm trying to get through this hereticalness of load-bearing walls.
Yeah, that is a many, many times referenced piece of Podcasters and 40k lore about heretical load-bearing walls. It's also the novel, I'm sure you know, and I'm sure the viewers know, about the Wolverine Space Marines.
Yep.
Like, the black dragons who can grow bone protrusions out like they're fucking Baraka or something from Mortal Kombat.
Yep.
It's like... this book goes places. It's David Annandale, isn't it, who wrote it?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, this book takes some creative liberties with what's established 40k canon and is a gentle reminder to everybody that 40k is a bit of a satire sometimes, and you don't have to stick within the super enshrined rixtures of established canon, because sometimes doing the cool thing is better than doing the canon thing, and fucking around with the 40k's canon has been a thing for decades. Don't sweat it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as a person who also plays TTRPGs, one of the campaigns going on at the moment is a Dark Heresy campaign in which I play a Sister of Battle. I love the fact that our game master isn't just all about canon, but he has made, custom demons, etc., etc. For instance, at the moment, we may have done goofed because we were running after a heretic and we ran into a portal, and now we're in another solar system on a, space station filled with heretics and cultists, and apparently Emperor's children are coming there, and the portal closed, and we're just a retinue of the Inquisitor.
GLHF enjoy dying.
Yeah, we're going to, because apparently our game master has made up also a new Xenos race, and we might encounter them depending on how stealthy we could be. I'm looking forward to what's going to happen.
Yes, it sounds very, very spicy, and sounds like you'll have fun, whatever happens. But
yes.
It reminds us all that, and I need reminding of this as well, I very much sound like a bloody hypocrite, I know, about, yes, there's a canon, and there's an established things that are established to be, but creative liberties are allowed, whether that's with homebrew or interpreting something in a janky way or outright stating something that makes no sense and conflicts with another book, is absolutely okay. Even when I was homebrewing my 40k stories character, the storyteller, as I called them, they were an Earthcast scientist who wound up on a craft world.
Whoops.
Okay.
As one does.
I forget the whys and hows of it. I was also trying to reference people I knew and people in my community and things like that. And it was weird, and I'm bad at homebrew. But...
oh, shush, I bet you're great.
oh, no. Trust me, no. It's still up somewhere on the channel, and it is not good. But that's fine. It doesn't matter. It's homebrew. And because... and you'll know this from the homebrew server, you've probably read dozens of utterly ludicrous tales of origin stories and explanations for random quirks that make absolutely no sense.
Bold of you
But
to
who
assume
cares?
I haven't created these kinds of characters myself.
Hey, I didn't say you hadn't. I'm merely observing that you will definitely have seen it.
But yeah, I have read my fair share, regardless of which fandom, all kinds of characters that perhaps when it comes to the greater canon of things might not be very acceptable all the time. But still, I love the creativity behind it, and if there is a clever way of explaining why things are how they are, even if it's not completely, canon, but if it's creative, if it might make sense, yeah, absolutely, go for it.
Absolutely, definitely. And obviously there's got to come a point where it's like, oh yeah, my chapter master's an alpha plus psyker and no one ever knew about it yet. Okay, that's not going to work because that implies you've got a guy who's a better psyker than Magnus the Red.
Yeah.
But saying that you've got a chapter master who has latent psychic potential that they never realised, and thus the chief librarian is also the chapter master of your chapter because one of their founding members was also a latent psyker and really invested in the librarium, and when their psychic power manifested, they sort of took on both roles at once, and thus it became tradition. Yeah. You can do that. I mean, look at the Silver Skulls. They revere librarians, and their chapter master sits on a throne killing himself. So, it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of like keep your head in the game, and, well, if it's 40k or it's Warhammer in general, it's bound to be like this kind of very, very weird, over-the-top shit. But still, like, if you keep your head in the game, if you're willing to explain things, yeah, you'll be fine.
Absolutely. And it's worth remembering, like, if you want to really go out there with your homebrew, then just write Sigmar. Because Sigmar is a very different universe from 40k. There is no established canon of what can and can't be done.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to say, oh, I've got one of the most powerful mages in such a discipline known ever, then you can very easily say that they wandered too close to the realm's edge, and rather than be turned into lightning, dust, whatever, they were somehow imbued with a portion of its power, and thus they're a super powerful wizard, but only under certain conditions. Like, they can't leave their realm, for example, because they become tied to it like the gods have, like Teclis with the Realm of Light.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
could be something you could do. Or want to invent a creature that's never been seen before? You can do it. Gur just invented a protector spirit, a giant protector bear, and a god beast kraken in one book.
Yeah, and I would love to read, and when it comes to homebrews, I would love to read about some Xenos creature or something like that as well.
The problem with doing it in 40k, though, is that if you've got a Xenos creature, chances are the Imperium already killed it.
True. Perhaps it's a historical record.
Yeah, because that was always the challenge with the way the Imperium's set up, being a human supremacist, ultimate mega murder, super fascist, crypto religious civilization, whatever, is it actually locks off aliens from anything but the bad guys in the eyes of the Imperium. Like, you can't have, with the possible exception of Jakero, aliens that work with humanity or that can coexist with humanity, because that's an alien, kill it, is standard bloody practice. Like,
Yeah.
I think one of the best examples of like where the Imperium went quote unquote wrong, and I do stand by went wrong, is, we talked about them earlier, the Interrex.
Yeah, true.
Because I'm sure most people at home know the story of the Interrex, but if you don't, the Interrex were a group of humans who coexisted with aliens and were getting on absolutely fine. They were peaceful, they were coexistent, they were expansionist, I'm sure, but they were very happy to do things quite peacefully. And when they met with the Imperium, they were more than happy to chat and be civil, and Horus was also very civil with the Interrex. But they worked with aliens, and for that they had to die.
Which is very 40k canon. But then again, it's very sad.
Absolutely. Like, is there a chance that the Kinnebrak were going to fuck things up? Yes, they invented the anathame.
Yep.
But with that said, just because aliens do questionable shit, have you seen the Imperium of Man lately?
Oh, no, we don't do anything questionable. Never, ever have done anything like that.
Nope. So, it's just... Excuse me.
That's
It's
all
a
right.
difficult one when you're trying to do Xenos homebrews because of the Imperium's stance on it, and thus it's very difficult to weave up. But if you're wanting to do the fantastical alien ideas and fantastical elements, Age of Sigmar is a really good place to go. If you want to create these unique human factions who observe the main human religion but also work separately, then you can do that. 40k doesn't have the same space for it, apart from, reverence of, people and things from their world that aren't necessarily imperial or predate the Imperium, though most of those turn out to be chaos.
Surprise, surprise.
It's an interesting thing you can do. And if you want to just invent stuff, go for it. And you want different alliances and different things to play out, go for it. Honestly, I know I am a bit of a shill for Sigmar because of everything that I've stood for since it came out. But honestly, as a sandbox, it's a better sandbox than 40k because it isn't dealing with 40 years of established canon baggage and
With too
the
many planet
realms-
names to remember.
and that. And the realms are theoretically infinite. There is room for just about anything, whereas the galaxy is pretty much mapped out. And I'm a big advocate for give us a bloody map. I love maps. Maps are amazing. But they can be constrictive. And I understand why the 40k writers have taken far less care about dates, times, places in more recent times than they have in the past, where they used to have everything down to the year, to the world, to the star system, and to the sector and all of that. They used to be super precise. Now they're not, because it gives them more space to take those creative liberties without having to worry about, wait a minute, they said such and such was here 1 year before, how the heck did they get there? Etc. Because those canon conflicts wind people up. So I get why they stopped doing it. It annoys me, who tries to create cohesive narratives and understand plot threads and things like that, and putting dates, times, and places on those things is really helpful. But I see why they don't do it, and it's why Sigmar hasn't even tried to do it. There's no timeline. It's the Age of Myth, the Age of Chaos, the Age of Sigmar, and everything else, there is no chronological order, pretty much.
Yep. Age of whatever.
Indeed. Like, things do follow on. Broken Realms, Harbingers, the Malign Portents before AOS 2, Broken Realms before AOS 3, and now Dawnbringers leading us into AOS 4. There are major events, but the individual battles, nah, they're not chronological, and there's no sense of timescale how long each edition actually lasts. How long was the Necroquake a thing before Teclis and Alariel stopped it? How long was Kragnos on a rampage before he was put back in his box? Etc. It is just an interesting thing to do, and I do appreciate Sigmar having the freedom to do it, and the issues it presents for 40k because they can't anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I realise again I sound like a hypocrite because I'm all like, maps, love timelines, love all that shit. But I also understand from a writing standpoint, the less rules you have to play by, the more liberties you can take, the better.
From what I've understood, if you are willing to think of things from both sides of the, quote-unquote coin, I think it just tells that you're a smart person.
Critical thinking is a critically underrated skill.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's
Right.
all right. It's
Sorry, it's
late
been a-
for me too, so we're both here like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I had a parents' evening last night as well, so I am running on fumes.
Oh, poor little dearie.
It's fine. I'll manage.
Meanwhile, I've been here like entertaining third and fourth, year students, not the usual ones that I usually do, the teenagers, but I'm actually talking of 9 and 10-year-olds. So Well, that's what I'm actually, I've enjoyed it quite a lot because, well, now I get to teach some other subjects than English. For instance, I've honestly enjoyed mathematics more than I thought I would because it's the time of, the maths that you go through in that third and fourth grade. Like I liked math back then. I was really good at it. So I sound very smart there, and people are like, "Wow, how do you know these things?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know, I'm so good," because it's honestly so simple, and I'm just relishing in it. I love it.
Yeah, that does sound good. I mean, teaching outside your specialism is always interesting. Like when I got pulled to cover a technology lesson, like sewing, I think it was.
Okay.
And it's like, when I was a student, I couldn't sew for anything, but all the artistic design stuff, I was like, yeah, all right, I can cover this. And I actually taught a half decent lesson.
Cool.
And I was asked to cover history another time. So I love history. I don't get to do it much in my science sphere, but it's just something different. And when you get to work with like lower years or students coming up and doing taster sessions and other stuff, it is just interesting. Just do something different.
It is, and as a person who was raised by two history teachers, I ended up telling about Napoleon, I think. Yeah, Napoleon to the third and fourth graders. We usually start history on the fifth grade. And I was like, yeah, you guys know Napoleon, right? Who? I was, oh no. I have to explain this. I'm like, well, there was this guy called Napoleon, and he used to be the emperor of France, and he conquered a lot of areas. And apparently, as perhaps we have seen, or you will see in history lessons, if you happen to be ruling a very, very big expanding place, that might mean that you might get power hungry. And they were like, oh, okay. And I was like, I'm explaining Napoleon to little kids. And I'm like, you guys, you have no idea of the things I could tell you. But I'm not going to do it because I don't want to give you nightmares.
Yeah, I had something very similar to that. I was teaching about space. Mm-hmm. And I did several modules of astrophysics when I was doing my degree. And so I know a lot about space. And talking about blooming like dark matter and calculating how far away and how bright a star is and all the different things we do. I just showed them a video of like how big the universe is theorized to be, and it broke some of their minds. They were like, that was either the best thing ever or that just broke my brain. What even? Which is hilarious. And we got talking, me and a couple of other students who stayed behind at break to have a chat about the space stuff because they were curious, and just talking about like, how do we actually work out how far away all these stars are when they're so far away that we can't even see them? It's like, well, let me tell you. And I just cooked, and it was so fun.
Oh, that's lovely.
Indeed, I love doing space. Space is my favourite topic. I think it's everybody's favourite topic in science.
Now I'm imagining you. Have you played the Portal games?
Yes. Well, no, but I've seen full playthroughs of them.
Very good. Then you know the Space Corps.
Yes. Space.
Spells. I'm the best at spells.
I'm imagining you going like that inside your head before the lesson, or like, well then, space. Adorable.
Oh, dear God. Dear God. But yes, that's what happens when Narina and I are left unaccompanied on a podcast. We just ramble about teacher things as well, which is always fun.
Yes, it is. We're like, yeah, Rem somewhere. Like, oh my God, the kids these days, they are either lovely or horrible or both at the same time, which is very intriguing.
Indeed. But yes. Right, what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to ask a few questions. I'm going to have to skip a few of them because some of it relies on Remley's Neville knowledge, primarily like things to do with the Night Lords trilogy, which I haven't read.
I read the question too. I was like, yeah, I think Rem might be able to answer this, but unfortunately he's not here.
Unfortunately, he's not here. But there's actually an interesting question based on what we were discussing about 10 minutes ago. And it says, do you think the Emperor should have or would have done better if he tried to restore humanity to how it was before the Age of Strife, rather than his choice of an absolute dictatorship with him at the centre, i.e. allowing Mars to keep doing what it's doing instead of working on this theocracy idea. Do you think that that would have worked better than his actual goal, which, for those not clear, is believed to be wipe out anything that isn't humanity, that will resist and stop humanity, particularly in order to allow humanity to ascend and defeat the Chaos Gods and become basically a psychic species, is one of the theories, using things like the Webway Project, the Human Webway, and other things like that, allowing humanity to defeat or escape from the threat of chaos.
From a cynical point of view, no. From a like Narina point of view, yes and no. Like, that's my opinion at least. Because, like, no, in the sense that if you want to, you know, purge anything, if you want to keep expanding, from a historical point of view, it has been better if you have a strong leader, usually one person. Not necessarily, but usually it has been like this. But then again, if you give some freedom for people to, you know, explore things, for instance, making humans a bit more psychic, I'm pretty sure that only one person could not do it, even though we have the Emperor, who is like the best person ever. I think that might have perhaps made it faster for people to find different ways of, you know, getting to that point where everyone could have been psychic. But then again, if people have their own voices, they are going to express their opinions, and I'm pretty sure not everyone would have agreed with the Emperor in every point or in every turn that he made or took.
I agree. Like, from a moral perspective, the Emperor did it completely wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he treated the Space Marines and, to a lesser extent, the Custodes and even lesser humans, really, as tools.
Yeah.
Means to an end. You could look at the Emperor as a greedy, power-hungry tyrant who, it was his way or the highway. He murdered any human who got in his way on Terra, using his superior scientific and psychic power. And then he took that same approach to conquering the stars.
Yeah, morally, absolutely horrible.
Yeah, but from a perspective of the Emperor saw everything, he has had all of human history, because he was Alexander the Great, among other things.
Yeah.
He has seen how heroes succeed and how humans work. He is also, therefore, borne witness to the Dark Age of technology, the Age of Strife, and everything that has happened. And he knows that chaos is a powerful, corrupting influence that has already fucked the galaxy up repeatedly with the Eldari and other things. And with humans having psychic potential, it will fuck them up too. And doing anything to avoid that, and therefore defeat the gods of chaos, you could argue that the ends justify the means. Because if you defeat chaos, then the whole galaxy wins, even if everything in it is human.
Yeah.
So there's an argument there as to, I understand the Emperor's rationale of, I cannot let religion become a thing, because worshipping of gods doesn't work. Religions throughout history have caused so much strife and internecine conflict, and also religion equals chaos, potentially, you could argue.
Potentially, yes.
And the overextension of science and the freedom of thought that having a powerful scientific free-minded community can cause may drive people into the hands of chaos, as their quest for discovery and change and a better tomorrow can be twisted and manipulated. Whereas sticking to what you know will keep you safe, because if you don't know what can hurt you and you don't push to better yourself and change the world around you, you are likely safer from the gods of chaos and their manipulation.
Very true.
However, that plan falls apart when you realise that the Horus Heresy was planned.
True. Also very
Now,
true, yeah.
it wasn't planned quite the way it went down, but it was planned. The Emperor planned there to be a rebellion of the Primarchs. He knew the way he was treating the Primarchs and the Space Marines would cause a rebellion, which he believed that he would win, and go on from there to do what he was doing and show, look what happens if we let this force corrupt us. It can even make these guys become evil murderers. We must purge ourselves of this, and we must ascend and become what I have been saying this whole time.
Yeah.
But in that, he also did not explain what he was doing, did not explain why he was leaving the Great Crusade and what he was working on, whereas a simple explanation to the Primarchs, and even if it was just the Primarchs alone, of there's this thing, it's called chaos. If we do not evolve as a species, it will kill us. It could corrupt you.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do it on Terra. You guys carry on with what you're doing. No one outside this room knows about this, because we must carry on our mission, because if we don't, it will destroy humanity. But he didn't trust the Primarchs because he didn't care about the Primarchs, because they were just tools.
Yeah, that I think was one of the Emperor's biggest mistakes. Not telling shit to anyone.
Yep. Now, could humanity have survived as an Age of Strife, a pre-Age of Strife civilization with AI and psychers becoming more regularized? But bear in mind, pre-Age of Strife, there were no psychers. Like, how do humans deal with psychers and suddenly demons? That's a new problem. You can't just reset back to the pre-psyker age now that psychers are a thing, because Slaanesh is around and the Eldari have fucked everything up. So
Literally.
you can't just do a reset. You've got to deal with the psyker problem. And if you're going to deal with the psyker problem, you've got two options.
Yeah.
Destroy them or control them, because otherwise they are an immediate gateway to suddenly demons. The Emperor tried option 1, that failed, and then he tried option 2. He tried option 2 first with the librarians and all of that. That failed, so he tried option 1, making himself look like a massive fucking hypocrite in the process, because he's the most powerful psyker of all, and Magnus the Red is right fucking there.
Yep.
And so is Malkador, worth noting.
True.
It's really difficult, and I still fundamentally believe that the Emperor did not learn his history. Even though he lived it, I don't think he learned it.
This kind of basic human arrogance of, I've lived through it, I know what it was about, but then forgetting that there's only this one point of view that one has had.
Absolutely. And we know he gathered the other perpetuals around him, and then they abandoned him.
Yeah.
Because of the route he was going down. And that should be setting off alarm bells, that if the people you've gathered around you, who have seen all the same shit you have, are going, this isn't going to work, or this is not the way, then probably you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, most likely.
So, would any of us do any better? No. Even with the power of hindsight, if we were suddenly transported to the year 50,000 and told you get one more go at this whole Great Crusade lark, we wouldn't do any better.
Yeah.
We'd all fail.
Absolutely.
All of us would, because we're human. We're not perfect. And this drive for perfection would have just benefited Slaanesh anyway.
Yeah.
So, I sympathise with the decision the Emperor took, and I can see why he took it. I don't think it was the correct decision, or if it was handled in a way that left him doomed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he should have known that from his time as Alexander. Because what happened when Alexander died? Quote unquote.
Well, everything fell apart, if I remember correctly.
Indeed, all his generals fell into infighting and his empire fell apart. He became himself Alexander again. And then he fucked off to go back to Terra, and it all fell apart as everyone started going out on their own and Lorgar ruined everything.
Yeah.
He literally lived through a perfect definition of why a single great leader cannot solve everything, and then managed to do it again.
Yep. I think it's wonderful how, in his quote-unquote perfection, how human some of the things that the Emperor has done are. Because, like, he has been acting at some points like a bloody idiot. Like a bloody, very human idiot. They're like, yeah, I could do this. I'm a big boy now. I've lived through this. Like, yeah, you have, but look at you. Look at you doing what all the humans have been doing for all the eternity. Repeating your mistakes.
Yep. Like, we don't know who else throughout history, everybody that the Emperor was. But
Yeah.
it's... Given that he will have lived through Alexander, Napoleon, I'm going to use this name as well, Hitler, even.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have lived through what is currently the modern age, with various world leaders doing very similar things to avoid getting political.
Yeah.
He knows what happens, and he still fucked it up in the exact same way. But I raise you this.
Mm-hmm.
The Tau Ethereals fucked it up as well. Because the Tau Ethereals are there as a sort of counter-argument. Because they encourage harmony. Harmony enforced at the end of a pulse rifle if you won't go with it, but they will give you a chance.
Mm.
And yet, they did exactly the same thing the Emperor did. They have a closed circle, and no one understands what they're doing. No one is allowed to question their authority. And in the end, they just fuck it up by forcing their dogma and tradition, which is not imperial, but is still very much about we're in charge here.
Yeah.
And the Tower falling into the exact same trap, except they started with, hello, fellow inhabitants of the Milky Way, how are you? We'd like to be, oh, you don't want to be friends, you're going to die now.
Oh, okay.
And that's, the Ethereals have done exactly the same thing. They united their species through words and potential magic, rather than conquest like the Emperor did. But as soon as they took 1 foot off of Tau, they fell into the exact same trap. Even though they're a council of leaders, they have that same fundamental flaw of we know best and you will not question our authority.
And the humans
It
dare to say
doesn't
that the
work.
Xenos are so very, very different from them.
Yep, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Arrogance and self-arrogance never works. Back yourself and your abilities by all means. If you have a particular set of skills, because you're Liam Neeson, then by all means, bring that to the table. But never assume that you know best. Never assume that you have all the answers. Because the moment you do, you're doomed. It might be tomorrow. It might be in 30,000 years, but you are doomed.
Yep.
And on that cheery message, why don't we wrap this whole thing up?
Yeah, sounds like a very, very lovely and uplifting end for this episode.
Working together is important.
Indeed.
Work
absolutely.
together, listen to others. That's a better message to end on.
Yeah.
Listen to others and work with them. That's a better message.
Indeed, absolutely. And like, look at us. We are, of course, the two teachers running amok because there's no lizard folk to guide us. But we are from two different cultures. Yet still, we are here like, yeah, we talk about Warhammer because we like it. And that's something we have in common, and we have discussions, and we learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of the perks of doing something like this and having such an active community as we do, because we can just talk. And if you're willing to not do the internet thing and actually listen, communicate, discuss, and see both sides of the argument, like, I didn't get to where I stand on the Emperor on my own. I didn't get here without having multiple conversations and multiple re-evaluations of my stance on it. Like, at one point I was like, the Emperor's a moron.
Yeah.
And then you read Master of Mankind and go, the Emperor's not a moron, he just messed up. And then you read The Siege of Terror and you're like, did he mess up, or was it just doomed from the start? And all of this, and you reevaluate. It's a really important thing to be able to do, is to reflect, discuss, and rebuild. And to quote the Doctor, I just want you to think. Do you know what thinking is? It's just a fancy word for changing your mind.
Yeah. And I think the ability to think and to change your mind is one of the greatest gifts the humankind has.
Absolutely. Right. With all that said, let's wrap this whole thing up. I appreciate it's not the full 2 hours, but, well, we lost about half an hour to the end of the Death Part 3, so we've done our best.
Yes, indeed. And we still know that load-bearing walls are heretical. The clocks have stopped. Geometry is weird. What else do
Changed. We know? The rage is black and the thirst is red or something.
Yes. The thirst is red and rage is black.
That's the other one. So yes, absolutely. Anyway, thank you very much to everyone for joining us. I know a No Remlays episode is always a different one because I think some of you get very bored of the sound of my voice, so sorry for talking so much. But thank you very much for listening regardless. If you have any queries or any thoughts on what we discussed today, please do leave them down in the comments below. If you have anything you want us to answer next episode, please put the word question somewhere in your comment because it will make it easier for us to find. And thank you, of course, to Nerina for joining me today. It has been a pleasure, as always, to talk to you.
My pleasure as well. This has been a hoot.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go and read about some crime, and we will have a reveals session to discuss next time out, as well as hopefully, if Remlays is back, the End and the Death Part 3's grand finale. Ooh. Make sure you join us for that in 2 weeks' time, right here on the 40k Theories channel. But in the meantime, my name has been Nee from Tactica Imperialis.
And I'm Nerina from 40k Theories.
And we will see you all next time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.
Bye!